You got a full belly.
Yeah.
Wonder what it ate. Can you tell?
It's like bluegill tail.
Good job, bluegill. You're doing your job. Well, what's up, guys? It's Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and today is an exciting day. We're over at the bass pond here at our house, and I say bass pond, but here lately it's become bass and a monster bluegill pond. But it's been 3 years since we last did our previous electroshock fish survey, where you bring in, a company comes in and they bring a boat with a big generator and big electric probes, and you go around the lake or pond or whatever it is and shock the fish, and they float up and you can net them, and then they'll do a survey. It doesn't harm the fish, it doesn't kill any fish or anything like that, but it'll tell us basically the health of our pond, the health of our fish. And they'll go back and, when they get here, we'll kind of walk you through everything, hopefully. But what they'll do is they'll collect a certain number of fish of every species, all the bass, the bluegill, everything. And then they'll collect some data on them. We'll weigh them, we'll measure them, and then release them back into the pond. And they pull a few scales and things here and there. And it'll kind of give us an update on how we're doing with the health of our pond. It doesn't look fabulous right now, I'm not going to lie. It's almost the color of the grass. The pond is really green looking. In the last week or two, we've had an algae bloom, and it is what it is. The water's kind of green. You'll see a lot of algae, a lot of moss growing on the surface along the edges. They're also going to be bringing us, I believe, 25 pounds of tilapia. I haven't stocked tilapia in here. I didn't do it last summer. It's been 2 years now. And tilapia are an awesome fish to put in a pond. In Oklahoma, they don't survive the winter, but they're very good forage for the bass and predators in the pond. And they eat algae and moss and, that kind of stuff. So they help keep the pond clean and feed the bigger fish. So let's get this thing started. You ready to shock up some fish?
Yes.
I want to know what your guess is. What do you think the biggest bass we're going to shock up today is?
8.
8?
8.1.
8.1. Houston's guessing 8.1. I'm going to say 6.5-ish. We might get lucky, get a 7 or 8. I mean, we had a 7 last time, but that's been 3 years ago. I don't know. Maybe she's still in here. She might be 9 pounds now. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm very excited.
We may have to move our little pontoon boat out of the way.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you're on the wrong boat.
Not sure that you're going to be on the boat either.
Their pontoon's a little bit bigger than ours.
Yeah.
So the way this works, they've got a generator on board the boat, and then it runs down, power cords run down into these probes out here, and these wires hang down in the water like an octopus. And as you cruise over the fish, it just stuns them and they kind of belly up and float up. You got to be quick, because as soon as they get out of that electrical field, they'll start coming back to life and swim off on you.
Oh.
Okay?
What are you going to do if we catch a 10-pound bass?
I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to celebrate and hoop and holler and scream, because that means what we've been doing is working.
Oh, I would have thought that you would have just mounted it.
I don't know. Probably not.
Put it in the separate.
If you catch it on a fishing pole, we'll definitely get it mounted. Okay?
Okay.
So before we get started with the actual fish shock survey, they're acclimating those tilapia to our pond water. So they've got a pump set up, and they're draining out a little bit of the water they brought and putting in a little bit of our pond water and letting them sit for a few minutes, and then kind of transitioning them to pond water before we turn them into the pond. So give them their best chance to survive. What do you think?
Cool.
That was a pretty good size one in there, huh? Yeah, kinda. So we got some pretty sizable tilapia this year going in the pond. It seemed like the last couple times we did it, they were fairly small, but they will populate quickly.
Still got some other stuff.
Off they go. Here you go, buddy. Go eat some of that green stuff.
Right on that.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a big old crack on the inside now. All right, Houston, there's 25 pounds of tilapia. Maybe this fall we'll catch a bunch of them.
Yep.
So 25 pounds of tilapia doesn't sound like a lot, but they spawn about every 21 days. About every 3 weeks, we'll get a whole new cycle of tilapia, and that's a lot of food for the bass. And I know in the past, when Houston and I have done this, we've been able to come down here in the fall and catch some really big tilapia. Like a couple pounds, huh?
Yeah, like this big.
And that was starting off with tilapia that were all 3 to 4 inches, and we put some in just now that were
this big,
half grown already. So they should start spawning fairly quickly, and that 25 pounds is going to explode throughout the summer.
So right now, Bear.
Bear, you might not want to hang out in the pond today. What are you hoping for?
Albino catfish.
Well, we did put a few catfish in here a few years ago. Not very many, and there were a couple albinos, but I don't know. We'll see.
Man, if I would have known, I would have told them to bring me one of them.
That's a good one. There's 2 bass, 3 bass. Oh, bluegill. That's a start right there. Got him. Little bitty bass. Oh, he got away. He was only about that long, wasn't he?
Big fish.
There's one of them red ear. Houston, you were asking if I thought there was any red ear in here.
Bluegill.
Yeah, tiny one, huh? There's one of our red ear that we stocked in here a few years ago. I don't hardly ever catch any red ear sunfish, but it's good to see that they're still in here and growing and doing good. Pretty nice one right there. What do you think? 3.5 pounds?
Yeah.
Bunch of small bluegill over here, Houston. Remember where we find the big ones at, okay? That's where we'll fish. There's fish everywhere right there. Look at all the bluegill popping up. Jeez, Houston. Hey, the brush pile's the hot spot, buddy.
Yes, it is. Look at all of them.
Yeah, look at these bluegill.
Big bluegill right there.
We just have a few seconds before they go back down. Here, watch out. Let him dump his net if he needs to.
There's a slab bluegill.
Trying to get out of his way. Look at all those fish. Pretty good bass right there, Houston. Found a hot spot. Yeah. They'll all wake up in a second, but man, that's a pretty nice bass right there. Some giant bluegill. good to see.
What?
I said that's good to see.
Yeah.
Big old bluegill, big old bass on that brush pile. So we got a tub full of fish all shocked up, and you see when they first put them in here, they kind of go belly up, but they come back to life pretty quick. There's an aerator in here. They're pumping fresh water in. So what we're gonna do now is basically collect data on all these fish, right?
Yep, we're gonna get all the measurements for them, weights, and then abundance estimations, and be able to put all that together and get a pretty accurate estimation on the condition of the lake.
Cool.
And compared to how it was, what is it, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been 3 years since we shocked it. And Houston, I did not see any 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pound bass. A couple maybe pushing that 5 pound, but not there. Not quite. That doesn't mean they're not in here. We just hadn't shocked them up yet.
Yeah. It's been fun.
See, keep them all jumping everywhere. Bluegill. Glad to say on bluegill. 9 3/8. 6 ounces.
YouTube, that's a 1 pound bass. What are you talking about? Huh. I've seen YouTube. I've seen how it works. I know how them fishermen are. I think YouTube adds at least a pound to most bass.
Gotta be. 7 and 9 bluegill.
He's a good one.
Nice one. Something hard in the stomach. Ready to crawfish.
Haven't seen many of those in here before.
12 and 3/8.
Oh, they're in here. There's crawfish in here.
Remember we saw a bunch last year when we pulled a bunch of primrose or
Mm-hmm.
the truck. 1 pound, 1 ounce. Uh-oh.
Gemma, get back.
7 and 9 shiner. Yep.
That's some big old minnows.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if a creek monster could eat that.
5 and 7 shiner.
It's good to see that the shiners are still doing good and populating though, because I haven't put any shiners in 3 years.
Really? 3 to 5 inch shiner. Yeah, we're getting all size classes of them too. It's a good sign. Hey, bluegill.
Look at that.
7 and 9 bluegill.
Houston, take that one home and fry it, huh?
Yeah.
Still a dinner plate.
Yeah, you need a picture with that one for sure, Houston.
Yeah. 4 pounds?
Not quite. He's gonna be 40 pounds, 4 ounces.
3 pounds, 4 ounces.
Yep, biggest one so far. All the fish are alive and swimming away. We haven't had a single dead fish, so just because they turn belly up for a minute doesn't mean they died.
2-9.
There's a good one, Houston. What'd you say, 2-9?
Yes.
15 7/8.
2-9. How about that?
Two pounds, 4 ounces.
You weren't off by too much.
No.
Cool. No giants.
No giants. We had a 3-4. 3-4.
I wonder where the giants are hiding at today.
We just hope Big Bessie didn't die.
We're gonna go out and make one more pass, try to just target the bigger bass, not, ooh, about jumped over the side, not try to pick up any of the bluegill and stuff, just looking for the bigger bass as they come up. We don't want to miss them. There's a good chance that a lot of the bigger bass, with it being a bright sunshiny day, are down in the deeper water right now and kind of hiding out from the sunlight, so we may not shock up some of the bigger bass, which is kind of the pits, but if it's a good overcast, cloudy day, we'd probably get some bigger bass. There went one right there. Here's a pretty good one. That might have been the one that tried to jump out of the water. Right here's where that 7-pounder was.
About 7 foot to 2 foot right here.
round 2 didn't shock up a ton of extra fish. We only picked up the bigger bass that we saw, so I think the bigger bass are probably a little deeper than what their electrodes will pull them up from today. And I don't know. That's not to say that big 7-pounder isn't in here and still growing, but we dang sure didn't pull her up today.
And a half. A little bit of melanosis on his tail.
What's that from?
Just pretty much just black spots. Just melanin.
Is that bad or good?
No, it doesn't hurt him at all. It's just kind of a genetic trait you get from certain fish. 2 pounds, 3 ounces.
So 3 years ago, a lot of the bass had parasites, and that was why you guys recommended red-eared sunfish, right? Are you seeing any parasites on many of the bass?
I've seen much in the way like yellow grub or anything.
That one does on the other side.
The yellow Homestead.
Oh wait,
Absolutely. The only thing I saw early on one of them was had one on the gill.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're doing a lot better.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah, nothing excessive by any means. Right. Measure him out first. Come on. Close his mouth.
You don't want to close his mouth.
No. Come on. $14.5.
What's it weigh, Houston?
1.16.
That's 2 pounds. 1.16 is 2 pounds.
1 pound 8 ounces.
Oh.
Wah, you're wrong.
You didn't even guess, so I was closer than you.
That's true. You were. You got a full belly.
Yeah.
Wonder what it ate. What, can you tell?
Looks like a bluegill tail.
Good job, bluegill. You're doing your job. That's why we hired him, right?
Exactly. 13.5.
We've had so many trouble in there.
1 pound 8 ounces. That's one of those little parasites right there. The little one showing up there.
Oh, in the gills?
Yep.
Oh, he's got
I see what you're talking about.
Yep.
just one though.
Just one. I want to say on a couple of fish. Yep.
It's all over but the crying. Well, what'd you think?
I think it was really cool.
Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised to see how big some of the bluegill were.
Yeah.
We caught one this big, so.
Big bluegill, big shiners.
Shiner that big.
Yeah. A lot of food for the bass, huh?
Yeah.
Well, made it back to the house. Pond shock survey is complete, and we have to wait probably 2 weeks at least on the results. I wanted to hold this video until we got our results back, but I'm not going to wait 2 weeks. So as soon as the results come back in, I'll let you guys know where we stand and what their recommendations are and what we need to do, if anything. Water quality obviously doesn't look the best right now. Adding those tilapia, they'll help eat some of that algae and stuff. And he said everything's in good shape. They did recommend that we need to get some oxygen in the water just to keep that algae bloom from all dying off at once. Not that we need to spend a bunch of money and go put oxygen bubblers in there and stuff like that. Would be nice if we could. We're too far from electricity. There's not enough wind at the pond. So solar's the only option, and solar pond aerators are not cheap. But what we can do, we've got that little Pond King mini pontoon boat with a trolling motor. He said just go over there, charge the battery up and turn that trolling motor on to where it just churning the water, and just let it churn the water for a few hours, a few times a week, and that'll help keep oxygen in the water and help keep things in balance. So oxygen's important to us, oxygen's important to fish. And the fish population looked great. The bluegill looked awesome. So much different than the last time. It's been 3 years since we did this pond survey. I did our fish shock survey. And before, we didn't have very many big bluegill at all. And we had quite a few big bluegill. There's a ton in that 3 to 5 inch range, which are the breeders that are, you know, constantly spawning and having babies to feed the bass. And, you know, unfortunately, we didn't shock up any big giant bass this time. I think last time we had one that was over 7, one that was over 5, and a lot in the 3 and 4 pound range. What were you going to say?
We had a 3.4.
Yep.
This time, so
3.4, 3 pounds 4 ounces was the biggest bass that we shocked up. But like we said, with it being a hot sunny day, some of those big bass are down deep and their electrodes, you know, don't reach all the way down to the bottom. And our pond, you know, a lot of it is 3 to 4 feet deep, but out in the middle in front of the dam, and there's like a ditch that runs through that's anywhere from 9 to 12 feet deep. So if they're kind of hanging down near that thermocline, it might not be able to shock them up. And oh well, it is what it is. We know there's a lot of bass in the pond. We've caught a lot of bass, and I told those guys I'm just as excited about the big bluegill in there as I am the big bass. You know, I think we haven't done anything with the pond over at the Mill Creek property yet. I'm trying to let that thing settle and make sure it's going to hold water. Obviously, we know that we need to fix the spillway pipe. That's a given. We know that, but I want to make sure that thing holds water for a good while before we really start trying to do anything. We don't have any structure in it yet. We don't have anything. It's just kind of a blank slate. But I would really, really like to make that like a giant bluegill pond. You know, you can buy hybrid bluegill that get huge, like way bigger than the ones that we have in this pond. The problem with those hybrid bluegill is they don't spawn, they don't reproduce. So you have to, you know, restock them every couple of years. And but they just get massive. And I think it'd be cool to make a pond entirely like a giant bluegill pond. I love catching bluegill. We love going to the creek and catching bluegill and sunfish and all that stuff. And, you know, big bass are fun to raise and fun to have in the pond. Man, those bluegill are good eating. They're fun to catch, and they're easy. I can take kids over and catch big bluegill, and everybody loves it. Yeah. You got anything to add?
I had fun. This is a very good experience for me. I loved it.
Yep. Summer school was in session today. Houston got to learn a lot about pond shocking and seeing those fish and seeing how it works, and you know, the math and all the stuff that goes into it. They take data on all those fish. And
the only thing I learned is how to guess how much it weighs and how it gets shocked.
That's the only thing you think that's all you learned, but I guarantee you learned more. You learned, hey, what did you learn about where the most fish are spending their time in that pond?
Oh, in the brush piles. In
the big brush pile. Why do you think the fish are spending the most time, or the most fish are spending their time in the big brush pile?
Because that's where all the structure is.
That's where all the structure is. So the bait fish are going to hide out around the structure. The bass and the big bluegill are going to hide in the brush pile and be able to ambush the small bait fish, right? You learn more than you think, trust me. Summer school's in session. You may not remember everything. You may not realize you're learning as much as you think, but you're learning.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh.
You learned where to go fishing over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it for today, guys. It was fun. It was awesome. We'll check back in with you guys when we get the pond results. It's hot. It's like 90-something degrees today, and the humidity's up there. So I think we're going to go in the house and chill for a little while. Maybe go fishing at the creek or something this evening.
Yeah.
So why don't you wrap this thing up? I'm like waiting on you to end this video.
I'm waiting on you to stop talking so I can start talking and then end it.
Let's do it.
So guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.